Today's Miami Heat report is absolutely loaded because, according to a report, we now know what the Miami Heat trade offer to the Portland Trail Blazers was for Damian Lillard. Plus, Miami Heat fan legend Dan Batard speaks out against the Toronto Raptors. And to close out the show, we talk about a Dame deal looking less and less likely for the Miami Heat. So stay tuned because there's a lot to talk about on today's show. We start with what the Heat allegedly offered the Toronto Raptors for Damian Lillard because according to ESPN's Marc Spears, he reported that the Heat offered a trade package that included Tyler Herro and 2 first-round picks in return for Damian Lillard. This is the Heat report. I am Nic Rohloff. So we're going to dive into this report from Spears because it kind of shook the NBA landscape a little bit yesterday when this was reported. And I want to get this out in the open right now. This reporting by Marc Spears feels very fishy. Why? Because we know that there hasn't been a lot of communication between the Heat, Pat Riley, and Joe Cronin and the Portland Trail Blazers. And I thought this was very weird for Spears to put this out there. Why? Because it did not show the full picture between Dame and the Heat when it comes to trade packages. Because Tyler Herro and 2 first-round picks, what it was initially reported, it felt like that's all the Heat offered. Well, that's not even possible because if the Heat did want to acquire Damian Lillard, Kyle Lowry would have to be in the deal just to work from a financial standpoint. Another reason why I thought this was a misleading report from Marc Spears, is because I don't think they've had trade discussions in the past couple weeks. Barry Jackson has had that, and others as well, as Brian Windhorst has said there really hasn't been any talks between Miami and Portland. Do I believe the Heat made this trade offer earlier in the offseason? I absolutely do. We're talking back in July and maybe even early August when these initial trade discussions were being had. But we know there has been radio silence between Miami and Portland over the last 2 months. There has been no negotiations between Cronin and Pat Riley. And that's why it's been so frustrating, because Pat Riley is playing this waiting game. He's basically gambling on the fact that the Blazers and Cronin aren't going to find another suitable trade partner for Pat Riley, for Damian Lillard. So he's betting that if we just sit, stay calm, stay cool, stay collected, and just wait for the Blazers to come back to us at the end of trade discussions, we can then get him for the lower price than what Portland is asking. It's a dangerous game. Do I think it will work? I don't really think so at this point, but you are risking the fact of a team like the Toronto Raptors jumping in and getting Damian Lillard because they're more aggressive, and it's very obvious that the Blazers don't want to send Dame to his preferred destination. Why? But that seems like what they don't want to do. Also, I thought it was interesting that Tyler Herro actually liked that tweet that you saw. Like NBA Central aggregated the report from Marc Spears and said that the Heat have offered Tyler Herro 2 first-round picks for Damian Lillard. He liked the tweet, but what I also found very interesting is that when I looked to see if he still liked that tweet this morning, he did not. So he unliked that tweet, which was, I don't know, man. It's been reported that Herro is cool with the Heat. Like, he understands that it's Damian Lillard. His names are going to be constantly brought up in trade discussions. But I am getting a little nervous of the fact of Herro becoming a little angry with the Heat organization and how maybe he's not going to play his best this year because he's sick and tired of being always brought up in trade discussions. It's almost been 4 straight years of Herro being talked about getting traded. When you think of Russell Westbrook before he even played a game, there was thoughts of trading Herro for Russ. Then you have James Harden after his first year. Then you have KD. You have Donovan Mitchell. Now Damian Lillard. I do feel for Herro because he has just been constantly and brought up in trade discussions. And it's not like the Heat don't like Herro. They love Tyler. It's just the fact that they're always going to go whale hunting, and Tyler Herro is the best asset, but he somehow survived all these trade talks. I'll ask you guys this, though, and it is today's pinned comment on today's show. Do you believe Marc Spears' report about the Heat's trade offer, including Tyler Herro and 2 first-round picks? It was a little vague. He didn't include anything else. He made it seem like it was just Herro and 2 firsts, which we know is completely false. But type B for believe, type D for don't. Now, the Dan Batard trashes the Toronto Raptors. Obviously, he is a legend in the Miami Heat, in Miami market media game, and he had some interesting quotes on the Toronto Raptors, and he said this earlier this morning. Toronto didn't want to pay Kyle Lowry, maybe their franchise GOAT, their favorite son, after the age of 35. You're going to tell me they're going to pay Damian Lillard after the age of 35? And I kind of agree with Dan Le Batard. I will admit, I do not get the Toronto Raptors' interest in Dame. Do they really think a team of Dame, Pascal Siakam, one of Scottie Barnes and OG Anunoby with Gary Trent Jr. is good enough to win an NBA championship? If they do, okay, but I don't think they're better than the Celtics. I don't think they're better than the Milwaukee Bucks. Hell, I don't know if that team would even be better than what the Heat have currently. Because when Bam and Jimmy have consistently led this team to the Eastern Conference Finals for 3 out of the last 4 years, and to the NBA Finals in 2 of the last 4 years, that is a top duo in the Eastern Conference. They have not got over the hump to win a championship yet, and that's why I think Damian Lillard is so necessary. But I don't think that Toronto Raptors team would even be able to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, because Dame has not been able to really do it outside of the one miracle run in 2019 with the Blazers. And sure, you can argue that Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, or Scottie Barnes would be the best team that he's had around him. And then you've obviously got them moving on from Nick Nurse this offseason. It is very interesting to see if the Raptors actually believe they can win. And Le Batard brought up the age thing and the pay. Well, Damian Lillard's 33, and he's owed $200+ million over the next 4 seasons. They weren't good with paying Kyle Lowry, but they're okay with paying Damian Lillard $55+ million over the next 4 seasons. I don't know, man. This could be just another way of the Blazers driving up the price point for the Miami Heat, but I guess there's really only one way for that to find out. Coming up, Dan Le Batard isn't concerned about the Raptors, and he had an interesting quote that I want to dive into and talk more about that. But first, I got to tell you guys about our awesome sponsor that is Prize Picks. Today's Miami Heat report is sponsored by Prize Picks, and if you love sports, you must head over to Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America and is available to play in 31 states. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you can pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. I've had so much fun testing my skills during this football season, and I can't wait till the NBA season arrives. If you have similar skills to me, which unfortunately you just probably don't, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps with the most exciting daily fantasy app on the planet. Another positive Prize Picks, they allow quick withdrawals and have easy gameplay with an enormous selection of players and stat types, which make playing DFS so much fun. My latest picks are about this upcoming NBA season. As you see it on screen, I'm taking more than on Anthony Edwards' points per game total this upcoming year. I think we're going to see an MVP caliber type season from Ant, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's averaging 30 a night. I'm also taking the more than on Paolo Banchero's points per game, because I think he's putting up 23, 24 in his sophomore season. And then our main man, Bam Adebayo, geez, my goodness. I think he's going to get more than 10 rebounds per game this upcoming season. Prize Picks has it set at 9.3. I'll take the more than on Bam Adebayo. So Prize Picks is offering an awesome deal for you. And if you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, you can use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. One more time. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. You're basically losing out. Have fun watching the NBA and NFL. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. All right, let's move on to what Dan Le Batard said about the Damian Lillard saga. He said this morning that they, the Miami Heat, have the leverage because Damian Lillard is on their side, working with the Miami Heat to try and get to Miami, which is what everyone wants. And now I just kind of want to react to what Le Batard says because, yes, sure, the Heat want Damian Lillard, and Damian Lillard wants to play in the 305. But is Le Batard right about the Heat having the leverage? I'm not sure they do anymore, because what Joe Cronin and the Portland Trail Blazers have repeatedly shown throughout this entire offseason is that they are willing to not go with Damian Lillard's wishes and try to send him somewhere else that isn't the Miami Heat. And Toronto doesn't care about Miami getting Portland. They'd probably avoid them or the Heat getting Dame because it would make the Heat the best team in the Eastern Conference. So do the Heat have leverage? Probably not, because the madman Joe Cronin is going to do what is best for him and the Blazers organization in this upcoming trade talks. So I don't believe that the Heat have leverage at all. I believe they once did have leverage, but now that it seems like Toronto has actually jumped in this Dame trade talks and is a serious threat to get Lillard, the Heat have lost all their leverage. And the Heat are playing a dangerous game waiting this out and assuming their final trade package can beat Toronto's, because I don't think it can. There has also been reports about the Raptors not offering Scottie Barnes in a trade package, and the main headlining player is OG Anunoby, which is intriguing to me, and I want to do a video coming up about who's got a better package between the Raptors and the Heat, because I do think Herro is more valuable than Anunoby, even though NBA media heads would like to make you think differently. Coming up, is a Dame deal happening or no for the Miami Heat? There's one last report from Anthony Chiang that I want to talk about, but first I got to make sure you guys are subscribed to the Heat Report, because you're going to get the best Heat news, the best Heat rumors, and the best Heat analysis over at the channel. So subscribe today, don't miss out, and when the season rolls along, we're going to be doing watch parties with Dame, without Dame, so make sure you are locked in with us here at the Heat Report. All right, last report today. It comes from Anthony Chiang on a Heat Dame trade, because he said in his latest article surrounding the Miami Heat that one league source who spoke to Portland's front office last week was told by the Trailblazers that a trade that sends Lillard to the Heat is quote-unquote unlikely. And this is why my entire tune on the situation has flipped regarding Lillard and the Heat, because the Blazers seriously do not care about their franchise GOAT's feelings, and they do not want to send Dame to the 305. They want to get the best assets. That apparently Cronin just doesn't want to talk to the Miami Heat, so they're going to do what's best for Portland. They don't care about Dame. So my question is the deal dead? And my answer to that question, unless a miracle happens and Cronin or Riley flips their beliefs, I don't think you can even be confident in a Damian Lillard Miami Heat trade happening. Unless Cronin changes his thoughts and says, we'll go with Damian Lillard's personal wants and send him to the Heat. Or if Pat Riley changes his opinion and goes, I'll actually offer up all of the assets rather than trying to lowball the Blazers, and we'll send Jovic, Jaquez, Herro, Martin for Damian Lillard. I don't think either one of them is going to flip their plan. The Heat have remained uninterested in sending the house for 33-year-old Damian Lillard, and that's why I'm getting very nervous about this trade going dead. We are on a little bit of a timetable, because are the Blazers really going to bring Dame to media day next Monday? Who knows? But if nothing changes, I think Dame might be a Toronto Raptor. And that's why I'll ask you this to close out today's show. Who trades for Dame? Is it going to be the Heat? Type MIA. Is it going to be the Raptors? Type TOR. Let me know your final thoughts in the comment section. I'm going to go with the Raptors, unfortunately. I really don't think that the Heat are going to be able to overcome with these reports of the Blazers not wanting to send him to Miami. I've lost all confidence, and it is really sad. I'll say this, though, if the Dame trade does happen to the Toronto Raptors, I might even go live for that to break down the shambles meter of the Heat organization. So stay tuned, stay locked in, youtube.com/@HeatReport.